because my childhood sweetheart was
While
confessed
I hid
to by a
aside and
transgender
watched the
in
drama
public.
unfold.
The little girl pinched my waist, red
She
on
even
the spot,
popped up
angrily to
and
punish
said
me.
she would
I
bury
like
me
you
someday.
The
So
transfer
loudly
student
that
Subai shouted
raised loudly
one hand
to love
against the
thought
wall
was
while
handsome.
holding a bouquet of roses
Bai
in the
Ningbing
other
rolled
hand,
her eyes hard,
not even bothering to
her
glance
gaze
at went
Subai,
past Subai's shoulder
with a
and
trace
felt
of
me,
pleading
and a
and
bit
also
of
annoyance
disgust
telling
in
me
her
to
eyes.
hurry up
I
and
folded
deal
my
with
arms
this
lazily
huge
against
trouble.
the wall
I did
across
not
from
move,
them. My
because I
Ningbing
knew.
did not need me to
Sure
step
enough,
in at
Bai
all.
Ningbing
Her voice
finally
was crisp
spoke.
and icy.
The smile
Who are
on
you?
Subai's face
I'm
froze
Subai, the new
instantly.
transfer
He
student.
seemed unable
That
to
Bai
believe.
Ningbing,
After all,
actually
he
had
did
a
not
face.
know
Girls
him.
across
Bai
the school
Ningbing
screamed,
gave a long
stretching out her
"Oh."
voice. Move aside.
I don't know you.
You're blocking my way. Subai's face turned green,
Suppressed laughter
then
came
pale.
from
He
around
took
them,
a deep breath,
as if trying to save face.
Ningbing, don't be
I know
like
you're
that.
shy.
Be my girlfriend.
I'll treat you
Bai
well.
Ningbing looked as if she had
She
heard
laughed
the
out
funniest
loud.
joke in the world.
Is
Why
there
would I
something
be
wrong
your
with your brain?
girlfriend?
Because you're ugly.
Or because you feel especially good
Subai's
about yourself?
expression
Bai
completely
Ningbing
cracked.
did not give him a
And
chance
don't
to
call me
speak.
Ningbing.
It makes me sick.
I'm saying this one
Her
last
presence
time.
was too
Subai
strong.
self-consciously pulled
Bai
back his
Ningbing
arm.
did not
She
look at
walked
him again.
straight
She
toward
skillfully
me,
hooked her
raised
arm
her
through
little
mine.
face. The frosty expression
Instantly
she had just
changed
worn
into
into a bright
let's
smile.
go home. Okay,
Then my
I
expression
smelled
froze.
that
Bai
lost her
Ningbing
hair.
had pinched the
Twisting
soft
hard.
flesh
Why didn't
at
you
my
help me
waist.
just now?
My lady, let go!
Next time, I
walked
definitely
past
will.
Subai, as
I
if
could
no
clearly
one
feel
else
his gaze
existed. So
on me.
intense, it almost nailed into
Trying
my
to
back.
steal my
He
girl?
was thinking way
From
too
the
much.
moment Bai Ningbing and I were born,
Our fates had been
we were
tied
neighbors,
together.
classmates, and best friends.
More than that,
our
that we
parents
would
had
be
long
engaged to
distance
each
in our
other.
world.
There had
That
only
tiny
ever
episode
been
did
each
not
other.
affect
On the way
mood.
home, Bai Ningbing kept
Is
complaining.
there something wrong with that
I
guy?
met him for the first time
And he
today.
ran over to
He even
confess
tried
to
to
me.
Oh my
Wall
god,
slam me.
so tacky.
I
That
smiled
bouquet was
as I
ugly
listened
too.
to
Got me
rant.
angry. Someone
Alright,
like him
alright.
isn't worth
Took a lollipop
it.
from my school
Peeled
bag,
off the wrapper
She
and held
bit
it
it
with
to
her
her
mouth,
mouth.
cheeks puffing up like a little
With the
hamster.
candy in her mouth, her words
It's
became
still
muffled.
strawberry
Do you
flavor.
think he'll bother me
Nice.
again tomorrow?
Looking at her adorable
My
face,
heart almost
don't
melted.
worry, I'm
I
here.
thought
Subai would back off a little.
After Ningbing shot him
Facts
down so
proved that
mercilessly,
I had
the next
underestimated
day,
how
he drove a
shameless
flashy
he
red
was.
sports car straight
The
to the
hood
school
was
gate,
covered with roses,
arranged into a huge
he
heart,
wore a white suit,
and even held a guitar
under everyone's gaze. He
It
started
was the
playing
kind of
and
cheesy
singing
love
corny.
song.
It made your
When
skin
Ningbing
crawl.
and I reached the school
This
gate,
is exactly what we
the
saw.
expression on Ningbing's face was
She pulled
beyond
me and
words.
turned to leave.
Let's go in through
I
the
did
back
not
gate.
move.
Instead,
we hide?
I held her
The one
back.
who
I
should
took
hide
Ningbing
is
with
walked
him.
expressionlessly
When
toward
Subai
the
saw
center
us,
of the
his
crowd.
eyes lit up.
And even
harder.
through Ningbing, a greasy
The girls
wink.
around him let out waves of
Ningbing
screams.
nearly
I
threw
stepped
up,
directly in front of
blocking
Ningbing.
Subai's view.
Subai's singing
He
stopped
frowned at me.
abruptly.
Who are you?
Move aside before I could
Ningbing
speak.
poked her little head
He is
out
my
from
fiancé.
behind me.
And
Fiancé.
who are you?
Wailing like a ghost here
Do you
so
have no
early
shame?
in the
She
morning.
emphasized the three words.
The
My
surroundings
fiancé
instantly
everyone's
fell
eyes
silent.
on me and Subai.
Although we were usually inseparable
Our
at school,
classmates had at most guessed
no one
that
had
we were
thought
dating.
we were already
Subai's
engaged.
face became extremely
Fiancé?
ugly.
Don't
Bai
joke
Ningbing,
around.
What era is
You're
this?
still doing arranged marriages?
Ningbing sneered. I'm willing.
Fiancé is 10
What
years
else
and
can
tons
take
of
better than
flowers
you?
and your
Stop
lousy
being
car
an
away.
eyesore
Subai
here.
was so
It was
angry.
probably the
He
first
could
girl
not
like
like
that.
Ningbing, who never
The girls
played by
he
the
had
usual
met before
rules.
rejected him,
Would do
But
it
Bai
politely.
Ningbing was practically a human-shaped
Humiliated.
cannon. He
Chen
turned
Ze,
his
yeah,
anger toward
Look
me.
at yourself from head
What
to toe.
part of you can you give her
Deserves
happiness?
me.
Can you buy her a sports
Can
car?
you buy her designer
I
bags?
laughed and looked at
As
him
if I were looking at a clown.
So your logic is, if you have money, including
can
other
own
people's
everything.
things,
Our Ningbing isn't that
and
cheap.
also I paused,
Took one step
leaned
forward,
close to
and
his
said
ear
in a voice only the two
Who
of
told
us
you I
could
couldn't
hear.
give her those
Subai
things? He
froze.
probably had not expected
I
me to
patted
say
his
that.
shoulder. Don't
The
assume too
world
much
is
about
much
people.
bigger than you
After
imagine.
saying that,
I
I
took
ignored him.
Ningbing through the crowd and entered the school
Behind
gate.
us was Subai's face,
Along
dark
with that
enough
red
and
sports
roses
car
scattered
like a
all
huge
over
After
the
we
ground.
entered campus,
Ningbing finally could not
she
hold
burst
it in.
out laughing.
You were
Fiancé,
so handsome
Especially
just
that
now.
last line. It was
She
insanely
imitated my
cool.
earlier
Lowering her
tone.
voice.
Who told
Then
you I
she
couldn't
laughed
give her
so
that?
hard, she
I
bent
shook my
backward.
head helplessly.
But he probably
Look
won't
at
bother you
you,
again,
right?
Ningbing thought for a moment.
I feel like that
Hard
guy's
to
kind of
say.
stupid.
Not
Not
like
like someone who
give up
I
easily.
frowned.
Ningbing was
Someone
right.
like Su Bai was used to everything
The more
going
he
his
could
way.
not get
This
something,
matter probably
the more
would
he
not
wanted
end
it
that
easily.
began his crazy
Greeting
pursuit
3
mode.
times a
Flowers
day.
delivered to the
And
classroom
public
door.
confessions with
Bai Ningbing
banners
threw
blocked
the
all
flowers
his messages.
into the
Tore
trash
down his confession banner in
and
front
added
of
one
the whole
sentence
school.
as a bonus.
If you're sick, Don't
Go
come
get
here
treated.
acting crazy.
The whole school treated it
A
like a
transfer
joke.
student who
Was trying to
overestimated
challenge
himself.
the
Su
school's
Bai became
publicly
braver the
recognized
more he
couple.
was probably
Frustrated.
thought my
So
existence
he
was
shifted
what
his
is
target
targeting
to
me.
started playing all sorts
He
of
would casually
casual
mention in front of Bai Ningbing.
Yesterday, I
You
saw you
looked so
talking to a girl
happy.
from the
Bai
next class.
Ningbing
Kept doing
I
problems
asked him,
with
that
the
girl
notes
is a
from
top
her.
student.
Besides, our
Su Bai's
Fiancé looks
face
good
turned
when he
green. He
smiles.
pretended to
Don't
kindly
always
remind
make
Ningbing
Ningbing
of
order
him.
breakfast.
To buy your favorite
even
pan-fried
late for
buns.
morning
Bai
study.
Ningbing finally put down her pen
She looked
and
at
looked
Su
up.
Bai
If he
seriously.
doesn't work
He
hard
buys
for
me
me, he's my
breakfast.
boyfriend.
And
Explain problems to him.
As for
That's
you,
only
do you live
natural.
by the sea?
I
Too
sat
much.
beside
Peeling
them.
an apple.
While admiring his ever-changing expression.
Truly wonderful. I cut the
And
peeled
held one to
apple
Bai
into small
Ningbing's
pieces.
mouth
Opened her
with a
mouth, her
tooth and
eyes
ate it
curving
with an
so
into
sweet.
presence.
My
Looking
heart
at her,
softened completely.
my Ningbing had always
And
known
she
how
had
much I
always
loved
used
her.
the most direct way. Could not even make a sound with her.
But Su Bai was like
After
a cockroach
failing
that
to
would
hit
not try.
his face again, and started acting
You treat
pitiful in
Ningbing
front of
so
me.
I'm so
envious
Chenze,
of your
I just think a
relationship.
girl
As
deserves
wonderful
to be
as
liked
Ningbing.
by
I don't mean
more
to ruin
people.
your relationship.
I just can't
What the
control
hell?
myself.
I almost smashed the book in my hand
A grown
into
man
his face.
was
Pulling this act in
Bai
front of me.
Ningbing's
icy
If
voice
you can't control
came from
yourself,
behind
you can't
us.
control yourself.
If you
Break
can't
your
control
legs.
yourself,
To help you?
you'll sit in a wheelchair.
Su Bai's face
Then from
instantly
green
went
to
purple.
purple, never
White
in
to
his
gray.
life. Seen a girl as fierce
Stammered.
as Bai Ningbing.
Ningbing.
I just
That's
like
not what
you
I
too
meant.
much. Bai Ningbing sneered.
Like
Your
flyers
love
handed
is so
out on the
cheap. Who would want
roadside.
it?
Naturally
She walked
my
hooked her
side.
arm through
And the
mine.
coldness in her eyes
Instantly
was
melted
let's go home.
into a spring-like
My
softness.
mom made your
I nodded,
favorite sweet and
letting
sour
her
ribs
pull me
today.
away. From
There
beginning
was
to
no
end,
need.
I never looked
My
at
girl
Su Bai
had
again.
already
After
solved
we had
all the
walked
trouble for me.
from the
I
school
turned
gate.
to look at her.
Ningbing, you are
She
amazing
proudly
just now,
lifted
like
her
a
chin.
proud little peacock.
Of course.
Is
Don't
just
you know whose
anyone
girl
worthy
I
of
am?
He should
I
take a
could not
good
help
look
it.
at
I
himself
reached
first
out
and rubbed her
Yes,
hair.
yes. You're
She
the
patted
best.
my hand.
That was what she
Don't
said.
mess up my
But the
hairstyle.
corners of her mouth
I knew
kept
she was
rising.
happy, and I was happy too. The feeling of being firmly chosen
Watching
by someone
Ningbing
was
and me being
incomparable.
so
The fire
close.
in
From
Su
that
Bai's
day
eyes
on,
finally
shut
stopped
out.
harassing. I thought he had finally given up.
Unexpectedly,
One day
he turned
after
his
school,
target
he
to me.
blocked me directly
His
at the
expression was
classroom
very
door.
serious.
No longer as frivolous
Chenze,
as
I
before.
raised an eyebrow.
I have nothing
was
to
about
talk
to
about
leave
with
you.
you. He stopped me.
It's about Ningbing.
I stopped.
What do you want to
He
say?
looked at me and said
I
word by
froze for a
word,
moment.
"You don't
Then
love
laughed
her
in
at
anger.
all because
What
you're
makes
too
you say
calm."
that?
Su Bai was
I've
a
chased
little
her agitated.
agitated.
So many
Yeah, you had
scenes.
no reaction at
You
all.
just watched like an outsider.
That is not how a
When
man
he loves a
behaves.
woman.
If you really
should have
loved
rushed
her, the
up to
first
stop
time
me.
I confessed
Instead
to her,
of
I
acting
looked
like
at him
nothing
and
happened.
suddenly found him
So
a
in
little
your
pitiful.
world, love has to be proven with fists
Love means
and
acting
Su Bai was left
impulsively
speechless
without
without
regard
an
for
answer.
consequences.
You should show your
acting like
possessiveness.
this only makes me
Whether
think
she
you
gets
don't
stolen
care
away.
at all.
You're wrong.
I trust
It's
in
not
Ping
that I
just
don't
as
care.
much as
I
I
trust
trust
her.
myself.
Trust her choices.
And trust
It
the
isn't
relationship
something
we've had that can
for
be
more
shaken
than
by
10
any
years.
random
Calmness is
person
not
because
because
I
don't
trust
love
her
her.
enough.
That kind of trust is something you'll
saying
never
that,
understand.
I stopped
He
looking
cannot
at him.
stop
I
me
could
again.
feel
That my
when I
words
went
had given
downstairs,
him quite the
Ningbing was
shock.
carrying her school
Standing
bag.
obediently under
When
the
she saw
shade
me,
of a
"Let's go
tree,
home,"
waiting
immediately
for me.
smiled.
Sunlight fell on
Coating her
She
in
was
a layer
so
of golden glow.
I walked over and took
The
her
next
hand.
day, he came
Let's
again.
go home.
This time, he chose an even more
The
public
cafeteria.
place. Ningbing and I were
He
eating
carried
together.
his tray and
Ningbing
sat straight
immediately
across from
ignored
us.
her. Instead, he
I thought
stared
about it for a
straight
long
at
time
me.
yesterday.
Trust is important.
But is what
I
you're
calmly
giving Ningbing really what
picked
she
the
wants?
green peppers from my
and
tray
cooked
into
carrots
carrots
from her
and
bowl
peppers
instead of
lined
carrots.
up and gave him a faint
And now
glance.
you know that too?
A self-righteous
Ningbing
smile
is
appeared
so
at the corner of Su
She
Bai's
should
mouth.
stand on a broader
Not
stage.
be trapped by you
I
in
can
this
take her
small
abroad.
city and show her a more
What about
exciting
you?
world.
What can you
All
give
you
her?
do is tie her to your
Using
side
the so-called
to limit
bond
her
of
future
values and love.
sweethearts. It's selfishness. He
As if
spoke
he were
with
the prince
righteous
saving the
confidence.
princess.
I were
Before
the
I could
evil
say
dragon
anything,
imprisoning her.
Ningbing slammed her
Making a loud
chopsticks
sound
heavily
the
onto the
cafeteria
table.
instantly became
Everyone
much
looked
quieter.
over at
Ningbing
us.
stood up
Abruptly.
looking down at Su Bai.
Su Bai, are you
and said,
seriously
"My
sick
future,
at
my
that?
life, where I want to go, and what I want." want to do are all
When
my
did
own
you
business.
get the right
You
to
say
point
Fiancé
fingers
is
And I
here?
think the
selfish.
most selfish person is
Every
you.
word you say under the
It's
banner
only
of
to
doing
set
it for
understand
your
good.
And
Aesthetic
you
thought.
understand
pride.
Fiancé
What
even
right
less.
do you have to
Ning
spout
Bing's
nonsense
voice
here?
was
Her eyes
urgent
turned
and
red.
angry.
I immediately stood
I
up
looked
and
at
pulled her
Subai,
behind me
my eyes
protectively.
turning cold. I'll say this one last time.
Stay away from my
If you
Ningbing.
dare make her
Don't
angry
blame
again.
me. My
for
voice
being
was
rude.
not loud, but everyone around heard it
Subai's
clearly.
face looked terrible.
He had not expected Ningbing to
And
react
even
so
less
intensely.
expected
Something like
that.
He
I,
gritted his
who
teeth.
had
Can
always
you only
been
hide
busy.
behind a woman if you're a man? Compete
He
with
finally
me fair and
revealed
square.
his
His
true
true purpose.
Who can make
anybody
angrier?
You win. Laughter came from
Subai's
around us.
face
I heard you're
flushed
good at
dark
basketball.
red.
Let's play
Don't
one-on-one
get cocky.
basketball. Whoever loses will
His
live by
voice
Ningbing
everywhere
forever.
around
Using
was
cafeteria
shocked.
to decide a girl's ownership.
Ningbing's expression changed
She gripped
too.
my arm tightly. Don't
Chen-zi,
listen to him.
Then
I
I looked
patted
at
her
Subai,
hand soothingly,
and
there was no longer the
Only
slightest
coldness.
amusement
The
in my
basketball
eyes.
court was packed with people.
The main characters were the two
One was
boys at the
Subai,
center of the
the
school's
rich
gossip.
gossip.
The other was
Student
me,
heartthrob,
Chen-zi, the top student,
This
who had
made
held first place
all
for
the
years.
gossip-loving
students
Subai
gathered
had
around.
already changed
Basketball
into a professional,
uniform and were
he
warming
performed
up
all
on the
kinds
court,
of flashy
causing
dribbling
screams
moves.
from the
He
girls
enjoyed the
around
feeling
him
of being
as
the
if
center of
victory
attention.
were
Ningbing
already
stayed close
within
his
reach.
face,
Full
full
of
of
worry.
Let's just ignore
Are
him.
you really going to play?
Can we go home instead?
There was a barely
She was
noticeable
afraid, not
tremble
afraid
in her
that
voice,
Wab
but
lose.
afraid that
I
because
would be
of her
dragged
into this ridiculous
stopped.
situation. Turned around
I
and
reached
looked
out and gently
seriously
smoothed
into
her
her eyes.
eyebrows.
She raised her
Her
head,
eyes
shimmering. She froze
Do you
for a
think I will
moment and
lose?
shook her head hard. My Chen-zi
No.
won't lose. I smiled. Trust me. Then that's that. I held
Everyone's
her hand
eyes
and walked onto
instantly
the court.
focused on us.
Subai stopped
and
dribbling
looked at
me smugly with the
So
ball
you
in his
finally
arms.
dared to
I thought
come?
you were too scared
I
to show up
ignored his
and
mockery.
walked straight to the center
I
of the court.
cleared my throat.
The entire place
Everyone
fell silent
pricked
at
up their
once.
ears.
I looked at Subai, then swept my gaze
voice
across
spread
everyone
clearly
watching
across
the
the
show. Basketball court. I had no
Originally,
intention
because of
of
just
being
accepting
never
a
like
ridiculous
you.
challenge.
I paused, and my voice suddenly rose.
Why should a game
She's
win
not
the right
an
to own
object.
What do you take her for?
My words landed like a
Smashing
heavy
into
hammer.
everyone's
the girls
hearts
who had been screaming
now had
earlier,
complicated
Ningbing's eyes
expressions. She
instantly
looked at me.
turned red.
Her gaze filled with emotion and pride.
I continued. I could have
But I'm afraid
completely
people will say
ignored
bad
you.
Ningbing
I'm
has
afraid
bad taste.
people
Doesn't
will
even
say
dare
the person she
accept
likes. A challenge made for her sake. I cannot let her suffer any criticism
So
because
I
of the
accept
whole
this
court
challenge.
Not
for
erupted
the match,
into thunderous
but for
applause
what
and
I
cheers.
had
His
just
face became
said.
very ugly.
With just a few words,
I had nailed him to the
before
pillar
he
of
could
shame.
refute.
My voice
But
sounded again. I, Chen-zi,
and never will
absolutely
use my
cannot.
Ningbing as
She
any
is the
kind of
treasure I will
punishment.
someone you can
protect for a
casually
lifetime.
use
I turned
as
to
a
look at
stake.
Subai.
My gaze sharp
Do you
as a
still
blade.
dare
If you
compete
still
now?
consider yourself a
Change the
man,
condition.
Subai had been forced
If
into
you
a corner
refuse,
by
you will
me. Become the school's laughingstock. He gritted his teeth and squeezed out a few words. Everyone's
Then
eyes
what
focused
condition
on
do
me.
you want?
They were waiting for me
I looked
to
at
suggest
Subai's
a
face
new
and
space.
my heart was
calm.
calm.
The moment
Anger.
he dragged
He had
Fanny
already
into
lost.
it. Lost completely.
Very simple.
Whoever
To the
loses
winner,
must
and
say
you're
in
really
front of
someone
everyone.
lose.
Stop
Everyone came
including
us.
Subai. He probably thought I would propose some
But I
harsh
only
condition
asked
for that simple line.
What kind of
You're
steak
really
was that?
something. He looked at me as
The
if I
steak
were an
doesn't
idiot.
seem
The
like
words
much.
are, you're really
Among
something.
boys,
The highest form
boys
of
around began to
recognition.
jeer.
If you're a man,
Subai,
don't back down.
Exactly.
The girls
Weren't you acting
overwhelmingly
arrogant
supported
just
me.
now?
This is true respect.
What? Are you
I
scared?
also added fuel to the fire.
What would I be
What
scared
a
of?
joke. Immediately shouted back. We'll do
Fine.
it your way.
Chen-zi,
Get ready to
I took
say,
off my
you're
school
really
uniform
revealing
jacket.
the white
I
t-shirt
casually did a few
underneath.
stretches.
Ningbing immediately ran over and held my jacket and screwed back
whispered
in
to
her
me,
arms.
"Chen-zi,
But it doesn't
good
matter
luck
even if you lose.
No one
I'll
can
only
take
like
you
her
away."
serious expression. I could not help laughing. I pinched her cheek. With
Silly
those
girl.
words from you,
I turned around
I can't
and
possibly
walked
lose.
towards
Subai
the
was
court.
already waiting.
His
His
eyes
eyes
were
were like those of
Unfortunately,
enraged
he had chosen the wrong
opponent. First to 21 points wins. Everyone in school knew
My
I
time
was
was
the
either
unshakable
spent
top
in the
student
classroom
or the
PE.
library.
I
I
only
never shown
moved
any amazing
basketball.
athletic talent. I answered him calmly. Who told you that
Someone like you
good at
is good
studying
at
can't
teaching
be
stereotypes.
The following match completely became a
He could not
one-sided
stop my
crushing,
offense.
and he could not
I
break
used
through
the
my
simplest
defense.
and
The
most
score
effective
again
methods. The
and
score
again
reached
19-0.
Ningbing
had long since
She only stood on the
shouting.
sideline holding
With
my
a
clothes.
proud
She
yet
knew
heartaching
every
smile
smile
on
on
her
her
face. As
face.
soon as I scored one more
The
basket,
match would be over.
Subai was so tired he was
supported
nearly
his knees,
collapsing
gasping for
both
breath.
hands. Sweat had soaked
Clinging
through his
tightly
jersey.
to his body.
He looked extremely miserable.
I
stood in
Still
front of
playing?
him with the
My
ball.
voice
He
was
raised
calm.
his head and looked at me me with
There was
bloodshot
unwillingness
eyes,
and anger
but
in
even
them.
more, a
Plain,
sense of
this
powerlessness
last
worked
word
through his
fine.
teeth. I chose the most
And most
direct, shocking way to end this match.
I stood outside the
Then,
three-point line
right in
and
front
began
of
dribbling.
him, I slowly
Retreating
stepped back.
2 meters
the whole
beyond the
court
three-point line.
erupted
What is he
in
doing?
shock.
From
Is
that
he going
far?
to shoot an
Is he crazy?
ultra-long
He
three?
realized I was
Subai
playing with
then
him.
roared and charged at
1
me like a
second before
madman.
he reached
I
me.
jumped, my body stretched out in the air,
And my wrist
the
flicked
basketball
lightly.
carried everyone's
As I
gaze.
drew a perfect arc. Time seemed to slow at
I
that
could
moment.
see the ball spinning in the
See
air,
the
despair in Subai's eyes,
and see Ningbing nervously
then,
covering
with an
her
incredibly
mouth.
cleanly through the net.
I had even given him
22
one
to
extra
0.
point.
After 2 seconds
entire
of silence,
court burst
Fiancé
into
won!
unprecedented
An
screams
ultra-long
and cheers.
three-point
That was
buzzer
too hard.
beater
Slowly
celebration
landed on the ground.
No shouting. I only quietly looked at the hoop. Then I turned around and walked step by step toward the girl
whose
on the
eyes
sideline.
had
Through the
only ever
boiling
held
crowd,
her
eyes
and
were
she
red.
was
Smiling brighter than anyone. She opened her
and
arms
threw herself
I
into
knew
my
you were the
embrace.
best.
I knew
held
it,
her
feeling her
tightly.
real warmth and
I
heartbeat,
lowered my
and
head,
whispered
"Let's
by
go
her
home."
ear,
The match
"I
was
won."
over. The crowd gradually dispersed, leaving only Subai, sitting in the center of the
afterglow
court,
of the sunset
and
made
dragging
him
his
look
shadow
lonely
long.
and
Ningbing and I
pitiful.
were holding
When he
hands,
suddenly
ready
spoke,
to leave.
his voice
Chenze
was
stopped
hoarse
and turned back.
He
He
did
did
not
not
look
at us, only lowered his
Why?
head
He
and
asked.
stared
Such
at the
good
ground.
grades.
Why do you have everything? Such a good family background. Her, and even
His
such
voice was
strong
full of
basketball
confusion
earlier
and defeat.
that you were so good
You could
at
have crushed me
basketball.
with your
Why
strength
did
from
you
the
wait
start. Were you
until
watching me
now?
make a fool
I
of
was
myself?
silent for a
Then
moment.
turned around
whether
where I
my
stood.
family
Whether my
background is
grades
good
are
or
good
not,
or
I play
not
basketball
has
well
nothing to
or
do
not.
with you.
Nor do I need to report
Second,
any of it
the
to
reason
you.
I
Because
didn't
was
argue
laughing
with
at
you
It was
before.
because in my
You were
eyes,
never worthy of
Subai
being
silently
silent.
raised
Full
his
of
head. Unwillingness. I ignored him and continued. Those
Looked
self-righteous
childish and
little
ridiculous.
tricks of
The reason I
yours
tolerated
was
you
only
until
because
now.
Ningbing didn't
I
want things to
respected
get
her
ugly,
wishes.
but you should not have challenged my
You
bottom
should
line.
not have
And you
insulted her in that
especially
way.
should not have tried to use
To
it to
decide
decide who she belongs to. So I could only use
between
this
you and
method
me.
to make you
There
understand.
is a gap you can never
That gap
cross.
cannot be filled
It
with
is
money
the
or
tacit
love. It is
understanding
absolute
built over
trust
more than
and
10
respect.
years together.
Lips
I had
trembled.
said
I turned to
what
leave.
I wanted to say.
Wait,
This
he
time,
spoke again.
there was no anger or
Only
resentment
defeat.
in his
Chenze,
voice.
only
You're
raised
really
the
something.
hands up.
Holding
I
you
did
really
not
out
ask
of that
for
inkling.
nothing. I was only protecting
I looked at
you.
her.
I will always
She looked
protect
at me
you
and
like
smiled,
the sun after
bright
rain.
and radiant.
She
Then she
nodded
stood on
hard
tiptoe
and quickly kissed
while I
my
was
cheek.
still
She had already
stunned,
run away like a
blushing
little
red.
rabbit. I'm going home first. I touched the place
It
where she
still
had
held
kissed
her
me
soft
and
touch.
sweet scent. I could not help smiling.
How
wonderful! The
Seemed to
relationship
undergo
between
a
Ningbing
subtle
and
change.
before, although we were
And
close,
said
we were the
neither
most
of us
important
had
people
pierced
to
each
each other.
other's
Final
fiancé
layer of
between
paper
us.
seemed to grow
Now,
more
when we
and
walked
more
on
on
the
the
road,
road. Instead
hold my
of
hand
like
only
before,
linking
she
arms
began
with
acting
me,
spoiled with me, asking me to open
and
bottle
asking
caps
me
for
to carry
her,
her
things she had
school
never
bag.
done before. Now felt perfectly natural, and I enjoyed every bit of it. I enjoyed her dependence,
Enjoyed the feeling
the
of
interactions
being trusted
between
by
us.
her
Also,
being
during
gently.
self-study, the teacher was lecturing at the front. I was carefully taking
When I
notes.
suddenly felt someone poke
I
my
turned
arm,
and saw Ningbing blinking
looking
her
at
big
me
eyes. She
pitifully.
mouthed to me. I
"I'm
held back a
hungry."
laugh and took a
Quietly
piece of chocolate
handing
from my
it to
desk
her.
drawer.
Carefully
Half
tore
and
open
put
the
it
wrapper,
into her mouth.
squinting happily.
Then she held the remaining
I froze
half
for
to
a
my
moment.
lips. She urged me with her eyes. I hesitated
Then
briefly,
opened my mouth
her
and took the
fingertips
chocolate.
accidentally brushed my
Soft and
lips. My
cool.
heart skipped a beat. The sweetness of the
Sweet
chocolate
all the way to my
instantly
heart.
melted
She
in my mouth.
quickly
Red,
withdrew
with
her
her
head
head
in her book.
and no longer dared
I looked
to
at her
look
bright
them.
red
The smile
ears.
on
On
the
the
day
day
the
the
college
college
entrance
entrance
not
exam
ended.
ended.
The sky was
And
deep
the
blue.
sunlight was dazzling.
All the candidates were
Celebrating
cheering
their
but I only
freedom.
held
Walking
Ningbing's
slowly
hand.
through the crowd.
Neither of us
We
spoke.
kept walking until
Where
we
we
had
reached
played
the
since
tree. I
childhood.
stopped, turned around,
Her
and
eyes
faced her.
reflected the blue
And
sky
also
and
my
white
Ningbing.
clouds. My
I began,
voice a
she
little
nodded.
hoarse.
I have
Looking at me
something to tell you.
obediently.
I took a deep breath,
Mm.
took her hand,
Say
and
it.
placed it
By
over
from
my
the
heart.
first day you were
You
born.
have lived here. You lived here
Isn't
for
it time
18
to pay
years.
some rent?
She froze, clearly not expecting
What's
me to
rent?
say that. I smiled
Huh?
at her,
Use
confused
the rest of your
expression.
life to
not
pay
as
it.
childhood
Very simple.
sweetheart.
Not
By
as an older
Ningbing.
brother
Will you
loves
be my
a
real
younger
girlfriend?
sister.
Sunlight filtered through the gaps
Casting
between
mottled
the
lights
tiny
and
lights
shadows.
Then
shimmered
those
in her
lights
eyes.
gathered
Crystal
into a river
that
slid down her cheeks. She did not speak. She only stood on
stretched
tiptoe.
out her
Then,
arms
with
and
a kiss
hugged
my
my
neck
neck
tightly.
that
Of
summer,
summer,
the
the
wind
wind was very
In
gentle.
university, we went to the same
school,
city.
different majors, but lived in the
Our
same
love
apartment building.
did not become
Instead,
dull
because
it
we were
became
like
more
all
and more
ordinary
clingy.
couples. Going to class together,
Studying in the library together,
strolling along the
and
tree-lined
sharing
paths
one
on
pair of
campus,
earphones
on
to listen
weekends,
to the
all
same
I
songs
took her to
through
eat
the
expensive
city.
Western restaurants,
As long
to
as she
spicy
wanted
hot
to.
during
During
holidays,
the corner,
we
to
traveled
see
together
snowy mountains,
to see the sea. And in every beautiful place,
we left behind our footprints.
the way
and
we got
photos,
along was still the same
full
as
of
before.
tacit
I
understanding
still remembered
and
all her
sweetness.
little
Remembered
habits.
that she did not eat
Remember the
scallions
days
or
when she
cilantro.
felt
Remembered
unwell.
that she liked everything
She'd
strawberry
also,
flavored.
when I stayed
Make
up
me a
late
cup of hot
working on
milk,
a bottle of
projects.
water when
And
I was
when I met
tired from
setbacks
playing
in
basketball.
we were each other's
On the day we
strongest
graduated
support.
from
I proposed
university, there was no grand ceremony.
No expensive
It was in a
diamond
small
ring.
apartment
And took
where
out
we
the
had
ring
lived together
I
for
had
4
bought
years.
Will you
With the
marry
first
me?
knelt
Scholarship
so
of my
hard
life.
she
Nodding
could
against
barely
the
speak.
Of course I
We
will.
held
I
the
will.
wedding soon
The wedding
after.
was
Only
simple.
our families and closest friends were
The host
invited.
was our high school
On stage,
classmate.
he told the story of
From
us
being
growing up
promised
together
before birth
to the
to
basketball
childhood
match that
sweethearts.
shook
The
the
guests
whole
below
school.
listened with great
But
interest.
my eyes only held my
She
bride,
wore pure white wedding
beautiful
dress.
like an
When we
angel.
exchanged
I
rings
looked into
and
her
solemnly
eyes.
made my vow.
I'm willing to
I
take
to
you
love
as
you,
my
whether
wife,
in poverty
whether
or wealth.
in health
I will
or
always
sickness,
stay by your
never
side.
leaving
She also
or
looked at me
abandoning
and
you.
smiled
I,
through
5
tears.
years after marriage,
was
promised we had
ordinary
our
but
own
happy.
home, our own
2
careers.
years
We
later,
welcomed a new member
a
of the
very
family.
adorable
We named
daughter,
her
Chan Sining.
Si from
and
Longing.
Ning
Our daughter
from
perfectly
Ningbing.
inherited
And my
Ningbing's
intelligence
beauty.
childhood.
She
And
was
also
a little
her
beauty.
personality was exactly
lively
like
and
with
cheerful.
a tiny bit
Her favorite
of
thing to
bossiness
do
was right on my shoulders
and show off her
then
power.
have Ningbing
Every
take
time
photos
this
of
happens,
us. Would smile and say,
Our family
"Look,
now has 2 little
I
sons.
would hold our
and
daughter
kiss my wife's forehead.
My heart filled with unprecedented
From being promised
satisfaction
before birth
and happiness
to childhood
from first
sweehearts.
love.
How
From
fortunate
to
I am.
such a love
wedding
that
dress.
lasts from
Thank you.
beginning
To
to end.
end.
You
The
lit
whole
up
story's
my
finished.
entire life.
It's completely
Sweeties,
over.
please like and follow.
This account will continue updating novels and comics.